I'm Arlene, host of the television talk show Ask Arlene, which airs on Thursdays at 6:30. And as a business consultant and life coach, I help you to move forward in your business, project, or endeavor. So if you always wanted to write a book, but you just haven't seemed to get started, or you always wanted to 10x that business that you already have, expand it to the next level, you know exactly what you need to do, but you just haven't done it? Well, I've already purchased all the courses, read all the books, the Tony Robbins, all sorts. I have several degrees, including a master's degree and credits toward a doctorate. I've sat with and met celebrities and done the networking. And what I realized is what I really needed was a mastermind group of people working toward my project, my business, or my endeavor. So what I've done is met with coaches and met with experts and put them together to work on your project. So join us today for our Mastermind networking group. I'll see you there. Click the link below and join us.
Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me today. We're so excited because today we have with us a an excellent guest. Her name is Jasmine Kelly Stephens, and she is a holistic wellness coach. We are so excited to have her because she's going to tell us how to get over our overeating situation. She's going to help us to stop stress eating and cravings. And she is the author of a very successful book called Getting Up. And she's in that book, ironically, guys, she's in a book with Les Brown. He has endorsed the book. He's actually one of the key people that has endorsed her book. So we're very excited and honored to have her with us. And we also want to acknowledge her because she is a two-time author. She's a best-selling international author, #1, as well as, there we go, there's her information, as well as a national one best-selling author. She's also been featured in Brains magazine for her work in this area of holistic health and wellness. And so we're so excited because she is also not only an author, guys, and an entrepreneur, but a mother to one, as well as she's been married for 19 years. So she has been successful in all three areas. And we're so excited to glean from her wisdom because she only talks about actually walks the walk in her own life. So I'd like to reintroduce to some and introduce to others our esteemed guest today, Miss Jasmine Kelly Stephens.
Wow.
Hello.
Hi, Arlene. Thank you so much for having me. That was wonderful.
Thank you. It is all true. It's all true. You've accomplished so much. We're so excited to have you on the show today. So, Jasmine, tell me, how did you come to be such a successful person, having traveled across the waters from St. Kitts and coming to the United States and just completely with your MBA and all of your accomplishments? How did you end up being a successful business owner of 11 years of a health and holistic coaching company?
Oh my goodness, where do I begin, Arlene? Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's such a privilege to be here. To think that I actually didn't even want to come, to America. I remember it being a very, very sad moment. I cried all the way on the plane,
Wow.
and yeah. And so got here, my brother and I came and, went to school, and it wasn't always easy, being an
Yeah.
immigrant. And I talk about that in my book. That was part of my story, how tough it was being an immigrant. But just really realizing that I'm not in control of my life, right? That God is the one in control of my life. I had to exercise a lot of faith. And I can't say that it was always easy. I can't say that I was always faithful, right?
Mm.
Because, the human part of you kicks in. But when all is said and done, I just have to say I'm grateful because I saw where God was orchestrating every single step of my life, despite of the hurdles and whatever came in my way. And so, yeah, and then so I started out in corporate, and realizing, okay, I
We
don't think
all did.
yes, we all we all
We all
started out in
started
corporate.
in corporate America. Yeah.
Yes, and
And
just
felt the bumps
realizing,
and bruises.
oh, geez, talk about the bumps and bruises. Mm-mm-mm. But realized that that wasn't God's best for me. But I still didn't know what that looked like. But I knew there was something else, right? That He wanted me to do. And so I remember working out. One of the perks, and let me just say, working with corporate is it's not a bad thing because you get a lot of
Mhm.
perks. Now, one of those perks that I got when I was working in corporate was the ability to work out with a trainer and for a very minimal price. So I worked out with a trainer. One of the things that he did was he referred us all to an integrative doctor. It just means a doctor that, that incorporates holistic and all of the other modalities. And so that was where it all began. I worked out with this integrative doctor. I just, the transformation in my life was really just amazing. And I remember, and this was like 7 years later, because I was just calculating that the other day, like, well, how long did it take me to actually ask my integrative doctor? I said to him, I love what you do, because the transformation for me was awesome. I'm like, I
What
love
was
what
the
you do.
transformation like? Was it a weight loss transformation when you got into this business? Okay, so how much weight did you lose?
So I lost about 10, 15 pounds. Okay, so here's the
Wow.
story.
And
Weight,
that was just by,
yes, yes. Go ahead, Arlene.
and
Yes.
you lost this 10 or 15 pounds just by taking a more holistic approach to your diet.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that he did was to check the mercury level. Now, when you go to a regular doctor, you never hear these things. Mercury level, what is that? Well, this is one of the first things that he did. It's like an at-home test where they check your urine. You got to, do the thing and then take it back in.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people are actually walking around with high mercury level. Now, your mercury levels could elevate based on fillings that are in your mouth, and just like eating a lot of,
Wow.
yes, eating a lot of canned foods, because there's a lot of chemicals in those canned foods. And so, when he checked for that, there was some elevation there, which was not a surprise. And so I remember getting like chelation. Those are like some supplements that you have to take so you can reduce the levels, and just all of that. Cutting out processed foods, ultra processed foods, and for
Mhm.
a short period of time, actually
Just
going.
going back to, before you move on, I don't want you to gloss over this. This
Yes.
mercury thing. I mean,
Mm,
that's really essential. I consider myself to be very healthful at the time. I'm a pescatarian, so I'm not eating a lot of meats. But what I found is that for people who eat fish, the mercury levels tend to be higher. So you're avoiding one thing, but you could be, getting yourself into trouble in another area. Tell us a little bit about that.
well, the thing is, too, it's all about moderation. So, of course, you can eat your fish. There are some fish that may be high in mercury. So, they normally say that, like, your bigger fishes are higher in mercury. So, like your salmon is good, your sardines, those are really
Mhm.
good. And so you don't want to be eating it every day, right? Because of course you can overdo it with good stuff as well. So
Mhm.
good things in moderation, really. And so I wouldn't say to avoid those things. You just have to be mindful. So
So is
whatever.
it the fatty fish that's worse, or the sardines that are worse?
No, the fatty fish is actually good. The salmon, the fatty fish, the omegas from the salmon is absolutely good for you. It's good for your brain health. It's good for inflammation. So you definitely want to be able to get your benefits from those fatty fish. I would say maybe a few times a week, that you can have your fatty fish. It's
Mhm.
excellent for you.
Okay. Now, in addition to the foods that you were eating, you
Mhm.
were doing some pretty amazing things in the holistic side of things that caused you to lose that 15. Tell us a little bit about that. It wasn't just food. What's the secret? Give us the real secret, Jasmine. Give
Oh my God.
us the
So,
secret, Jasmine.
well, with health, it's holistic, right? So it's never just
Okay.
one thing. But I have to say that nutrition always does the heavy lifting. I say nutrition, 80% is so key to your health and wellness. And then there's also like you got to move your body. Now, I was living in New York, so I was already working out with a trainer. So that was not a problem for me. For me, it was really the inflammation that was caused from like just eating a lot of sugary and inflammatory foods. I know we
So
spoke
you were
about
already
that.
working out. You were physically fit then.
Yes.
You and you weren't eating that badly, but yet you still had 10 to 15 pounds of excess because you weren't following this holistic methodology.
That sugar did it for me. Let me tell you, sugar
Sugar.
is public enemy number one. Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
If you overdo it, it accumulates. Now, this didn't happen overnight, and so that's why my transformation didn't happen overnight either. This all started when I was a kid. Sugar was my thing. It was my coping mechanism. The food, everybody has their thing. Some people love, like the salty stuff or the
Right. Mine is the
spicy.
chips.
Oh yeah,
Everybody who listens to my show knows.
yes. Mine was the sugary foods. And I just over the
Ouch.
years, I think it accumulates. It accumulates. I remember clearly I was 30 and I remember putting on a pair of capri, my favorite capris from Ann Taylor. And when you love something, at least for me, when
I
I
love
like
Ed
something,
Taylor.
oh yes,
Yes.
I still love them. No, I had these in different colors because when I like something, I buy in different colors. And I remember pulling it up, trying to put it on, and it was not budging. It was not budging. I was like, okay,
Ooh,
this
that's
is
usually the
crazy.
sign when we start looking at things.
Yeah, crazy. I've never had a problem with my weight. So when that happened, I was I was not very happy. And
Ouch. That's the
so,
time.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
think that's why the work that you do is so amazing and so important because what you're saying is even though you had a trainer, even though you thought you were doing the things that would cause you to be more healthful, you still
Yes,
needed the holistic perspective, which is what
absolutely.
you do now as a wellness coach. And one of
Yes.
the things you changed was the tell us how you were able to stop sugar. Now, I know you have a program that actually helps people to prevent sugar cravings. So give us some insight on that. How do we stop the sugar cravings?
Okay, so everybody is different, right? Some people can go cold turkey and that would work well for them. For me, I
Mhm.
started with and I always my thing is baby steps. I'm gonna say baby steps are always better
Baby
than no
steps.
steps, right? You do what you can where you are. So for me, number one thing, I was drinking a lot of juices and stuff like that. I cut out juice because a lot of the sugar was in juices. And then I start
Mm.
looking at my condiments because you would realize that you're having a nice healthy salad and then you just put this, salad dressing that is
Salad dressing tastes good. That's the essential
tastes so
part.
good, but it has so much sugar in there.
Right.
It has so much sugar. And so I had to start reading my labels. I had to start becoming my own detective, you know? And so I started doing that. I cut out the sugar. I cut out the juices. I started
Okay.
reading my ingredients. I used to love McDonald's French fries. I don't know if anybody else loved McDonald's French
Of
fries, but
course.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those are the best.
Yeah,
Minus
no,
the rubber.
yes, exactly.
Please, please. I'm just talking about a program that's that.
Yep, yep.
That was
Hey,
really popular.
the truth is the truth, right? Yeah. And
Please
so,
don't come back and write me nasty messages. We're just talking about that show that talked about the French fries and how Okay, maybe I should stop talking about that. So going back to what you were saying, Jasmine, one of the things that you said is stop the juice. And another thing that you said that we can reduce our sugar is to look at age labels. What's something we can do to reduce our sugar intake?
Can you repeat that, Arlene?
What's something else that we can do to reduce our sugar intake? You said looking at packages and you
Yes.
said reducing the juice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you know what? I usually say as well, don't bring the enemy in the house. So if you know, yes, yes. So I know that certain things I absolutely love. And so I leave it right in the store because I know if I buy it, I can't buy it and say, okay, I'm gonna bring it home and I'm gonna leave it there in the shelf and just eat it whenever, no, 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 no. It's in the house, when you bring the enemy in the house, what's going to happen? No, we don't want to do that.
Mm,
So we leave it there on the shelf because you have to know what you're capable of. Now, not everybody is going to deal with this situation the same way. Everybody is different. For me, it was better for me not to bring it at home, right? I knew what my limits were. And so I had to be diligent and intentional with that.
So your goal was to just not bring the stuff into your home. That is key for me. For somebody who really loves chips and that kind of thing, I only go and shop for it and eat it on the spot. Like home and eat. Buy a whole, buy it for that one setting or sitting, and then I don't buy it again until I have the craving. So there isn't any more for me to really binge on. And I want you to talk about the third aspect of your holistic work, which is really not just the eating or the foods, but it's actually the mental piece. And I think that's really key to why you've been as successful as you have been for over 11 years and why we should be joining your member of your and it's very impactful. And I'd like for you to talk with us a little bit more about how mentally we can configure ourselves so that we don't do this overeating and binge eating. And we're going to go to break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask you to really, give us some insight on that. Thank you so much. And we'll be back.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
Hello and welcome back. We're here with Miss Jasmine Kelly Stephens, and she is a holistic and wellness coach, and she is telling us about how we can overcome our overeating, our binge eating, and become way more healthful as she lost over 10 to 15 pounds on her journey several years ago. She started working in this. So you're going to today. Hi, Jasmine.
Hello.
Thank you for being on the show today. You are going to share with us some of the insights in terms of the mental aspect that causes people to gain excess weight. And I really just want to highlight what you were saying earlier, that even though you were doing the weightlifting and you had a personal trainer, you were physically fit, you still had the excess weight until you started in this particular area. Tell us something that really, really impacted you and can impact us in terms of our weight loss without actually not eating food and starving.
Oh my gosh, yes, so true, Arlene. So there's so many reasons why food, can become a comfort. So many things. So we can start out with, for a lot of people, it could go way back. It could go way back to when you were a child. Maybe, you didn't have enough attunement, right? Maybe nourishment from your caregivers wasn't really there. And sometimes our caregivers, they did an excellent job, okay, at what they do. They did the best that they can do. But there could have been times that maybe your feelings, what you were feeling at the time were not taken into consideration. And so that causes you to probably um, turn to food. Also, your core beliefs, like your habits, these are all things that can cause you to actually think that you need to turn to food. And so if those things are not dealt with on a very, very deep level, like we're never going to be able to reach that goal that we set. You may be trying to lose some pounds or whatever. You may be trying to eat better, but you feel like you're always fighting with food. You're always feeling like you're in food jail or something. And that's because that main issue has not been dealt with. And until that is dealt with, you can try different diets. You can have pills, you can take whatever, it's still going to not take you of the situation. Okay. And it may seem like you may be getting a headway for a minute or so, but then you're going to realize that you're right back to square one because you have not dealt with what the issue is. Okay.
So let me ask you a question, Jasmine. So when they come to you, give us a little snapshot. Is it like counseling that you do in terms of the mental piece that allows people to be more in touch with their feelings and emotions and reduce the emotional healing? What do you do?
So I don't really want to call it counseling because, okay, so I'm a health coach. I don't really wear the counselor hat. I try to stay within my scope of practice, but I'm able as a health coach to really ask deep questions so I can guide my clients. So the first thing I want to know, like I get to know her, like let's get to know you. What are your core beliefs? What are you thinking? What is your belief about food? What is your belief about yourself? Right. And so these are quite within the scope of a health coach. And then we talk about that and we find out, what has been happening. Okay, what have you tried in the past? What has worked? What has not worked? Let's talk about why you are stuck because there could
Mhm.
be some things going on there. Perfectionism is one of those things that can really keep you in that loop. Okay, because you're thinking,
Mhm.
well, I can't do it this way. So then I'm gonna just blow it then because I can't do it that way. Okay. No, that all or nothing thinking doesn't really work because baby steps, like we talked about earlier, baby steps are so important. So imagine
Number
that.
one thing that you find is tremendously helpful for people to start thinking when you find that they are emotional eating or emotional eaters?
Self-awareness is so important. You have to try to figure out what's going on at that time that I feel like I want to reach for those chips. What is that
Mhm.
thing? Pause. And so pausing is so important at that moment. And sometimes it's difficult to do because sometimes it could be difficult emotions. And we don't want to take the time to pause and feel those deep emotions because they're hurtful. You might still be hurting from that and you don't want to feel it.
Mm.
Don't want to feel it, but it's so important for you to stop, for you to pause and really ask yourself, what is it that I'm feeling right now? Okay. because food is really going to be just a temporary band-aid. You're going to feel better, but 10 minutes down the line, you're going to be back to square one. So really stop and pause and ask yourself, it's called self-awareness. So we really go through that period of self-awareness. What is triggering your emotional eating? So very key to moving forward.
Okay, so I hear you saying we realize that it's emotional eating. We realize the number one reason why people are overweight may not even be the food physically or the activity. It may be what's going on in your mind. And so you're telling us that in order for that to get better, we have to begin thinking thoughts that are going to be of benefit to us rather than focusing. Go ahead. Rather than focusing.
You hit it on the nail. You
Mhm.
hit it on the nail. It's that internal narrative. What is going on? What is that internal narrative? What is going on what is that chatter that's going on every single day, all day in your mind, right? That's so important as well. Right. So
And I think that's the nuance. And I think that's why it's so beneficial to utilize your services, because we could be running around on the treadmill for an extra hour and still not get the results that we're looking for, and wondering, so many of us are wondering, well, why is it that I'm doing all of this and I'm not able to elicit the results that I would like? But that's because you don't have a health coach, health and wellness coach. Now tell me a little bit about how we can get in contact with you, and how we can reach out to you for your services if we would like to get more information about what you're doing and the great work that you're imparting to us.
Okay, so you can find me on social media, but if you just want to shoot me like a quick email, you can always email me at jasmine@jasminestevenswellness.com. On social media, I am Jasmine Stephens Wellness. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can find me at Jasmine Stephens Wellness. On LinkedIn, on Instagram as well, and Facebook. So, yep, you can definitely reach out to me, send me a DM. But if you just want to shoot me a quick email, you can do so at jasmine@jasminestevenswellness.com.
Beautiful. And in the last minute of the show, I just want to give you an opportunity to share any thought that you would like to share as a parting thought with our listening audience.
So my ideal client is, entrepreneurs. And I just find that as entrepreneurs, we need that extra support. We wear so many hats, and
Yes.
Your life is so busy that a lot of people don't think to take that into consideration. Like, you are not the average person, okay? And so I just want to remind those women that we see you, we hear you, you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need the right strategies, you need the right support, the right accountability. And you can definitely just realize your health and wellness goals. They are definitely there for you to reach. Whatever has been working before, it just means that you may need to take a look at something else. But it is so, so possible. And I would love to be able to explore that with you.
Thank you so much for spending time with us, Jasmine. Thank you to our team today that helped us to put on the show. And I'd like to thank you, the listeners. And I see you again next week, Thursday, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Name some things I'll be without you, good. Stop the growth, I bet you think you could. Said you gon' leave me, man, I wish you would. Yeah, I'm different, so I'm misunderstood. So I'ma always be good. Said I'ma always be good.